structure.
It certainly did, and we can say that sexual
theory...
identity is organized in the brain before birth. Sexual identity is biological, it's innate, it's not learned, it's not chosen, and it need not correspond to your bodily anatomy. Okay.
And so, tell us more about what the science.
The rest of the science and the thing that really got me going on this project was the paper that I read back in 1995. That was the first paper looking at transsexual brains and comparing them to other brains. And by this time, we knew that the hypothalamus was a major sexual area of the brain. It controls the pituitary gland, it controls your gonads, it controls your reproductive physiology, and the hypothalamus, physiologists know, is the place in the brain that governs instinctive drives and behaviors. When you're hungry, when you're thirsty, when you're sleepy, that's your hypothalamus talking to you. You're not in charge of this part of your brain, it's in charge of you. So when I saw this paper in 1995, looking at a region in the hypothalamus that has been shown in animals to be absolutely essential in reproductive behavior.
We have a slide here.
And I have a slide to show the audience here. This, we're looking at nucleus in the hypothalamus. A nucleus is gray matter area where nerve cells are synapsing with each other. And this particular image is created by testing for the this is a neurotransmitter, VIP, that's made by the nerve endings that are synapsing here in this region of the brain. On the far left, we're looking at the nucleus in a heterosexual man. And next to that, in section B, is a heterosexual woman. Next to that, in section C, is a homosexual man. Ignore those streaks, that's an artifact. You can see that a gay man and a straight man, they look exactly the same in this part of the brain. Okay, showing that sexual orientation is not governed by this area, you know. And then on the far right, look at the far right. That is the brain. That is from the brain of a male to female transsexual person. Compare D with B. Okay. And you know what?
While we've got these slides up on the screen, we've got a caller.
Oh.
So let's go to the call. Ben?
Hello?
Hello, Ben.
Yes. Look, I'd just like to ask one quick question. Could you please give me the definition again of a intersex? And also, what is the purpose of bringing scientific data? I don't know what you want it for, what you need it for. What is the purpose of that? Is it to prove a point?
Yes.
Could you? And I'll hang up and listen.
All right. Thank you.
All right, well, the purpose of showing the scientific data is to show that the transsexual people are right about what they say, about how they feel, and that they're not crazy, they're not imagining it, they're not making it up, they're not delusional, this is real, and it's the psychiatrists who are wrong, that transsexual people are simply natural variations. We can explain what's going on in their brain using the same mechanism we can explain for everybody else.
And Ben also asked for a definition of intersex.
Oh boy, that's a toughie because there's so many different kinds of intersex, but what they all have in common is that there's some kind of combination of attributes that we normally think of, some attributes as female and some as male. So they have a combination. Some intersex people have unusual chromosomes like XXY or XY or something like that, and some intersex people have ambiguous genitalia. It's there's a lot of different kinds of intersex.
Would the term hermaphrodite that has
it's
been
only
historically
one
used?
Particular kind and a rare type at that.
Okay.
There are other kinds that are far more common.
Okay.
And intersexuality, by the way, is very common. I think people would be surprised to know. It's roughly about maybe 1 in every 60 people is intersex. And by the way, now that the brain work has been done, it's showing that really transsexual people could be regarded as a special kind of intersex.
Okay. We've got another caller. Jessica?
Hi, I was wondering what the guest recommends doctors should do when they deliver babies that are born with both sex organs.
Well, okay, I don't know exactly what you mean by both sex organs, because it's not possible to have both male and female external genitalia at the same time. You only have one set to begin with. It can look like a female, or it can look like a male, or something in between. Okay, the clitoris and the penis come from the same organs. The labia majora and the scrotum come from the same organs. You can't have both at the same time, but you can have something that's sort of intermediate. You can have an organ that it's not clear whether you're looking at a clitoris or a penis, for example. Okay.
So you can get.
And it was those children with
some aspect
not all
of both
intersex
genitalia.
people have ambiguous genitalia, but the ones who did would be obvious when they're born. And these are the children that the doctors were mutilating, and many of whom were living miserable lives because they'd been given a body that didn't go with their psychic identity.
And what would you advocate as an action that the
These
doctor
children, like everyone, should have control over their bodies and their lives. And you don't go and surgically modify an infant that has nothing to say about what's being done to it. You let that child grow up. You let that child figure out who that child is. And incidentally, some people have an intersex identity. Many intersex people do, although you don't have to be physically intersex to have an intersex identity. We need to give people a place in the world, no matter how different they are. These are all natural variations that we're talking about. What's artificial is the culture. The culture only offers people two options, two genders. It's important to point out the difference between sex and gender. Sex is biological, gender is cultural. And in our culture, we have a binary gender culture. We only give people two choices. You can be a man or you can be a woman. What if you're born into the world intersex in every way? And I know people like that. We give them no place to be in the world. Everyone has a right to be who they naturally and innately are. Yeah. It is our birthright.